Imagine scrolling through TikTok and you find someone who has Tourette syndrome. They record their daily challenges. I mean, everyday tasks like making food or brushing your teeth can be a difficult experience.
Some for the stove. It's too hot. Add the drugs.
They also sell merch saying, "Hello, I have Tourette syndrome, Tic Princess. I'm a witch with tics. I'm not possessed, I just have tics." They even have a yarn dyeing business. I mean, it's great to see a creator with daily struggles succeed with their own business. I'm all for supporting small businesses, and I mean, they also educate people about Tourette syndrome. Meet Emerald. They began having symptoms of Tourette syndrome when they were 6 or 7 years old, which makes sense because symptoms typically start between ages of 5 to 10. Tourette syndrome is a neurological disorder characterized by repetitive involuntary movements and vocalizations called tics, and they can widely vary in severity. They boldly brought their condition into the spotlight. People don't need to feel as alone. Almost every single video they made featured their tics and brought awareness to the condition. By mid-2021, when Emerald was 27 years old, their TikTok account had amassed over 500,000 followers. But despite their success, every content creator is gonna get some hate. Unfortunately, on the internet, people started saying that their tics seem kind of forced and fake. How was it discovered that they were allegedly faking, leading to the permanent deletion of their account? Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and let's delve into what really happened. It all starts with Emerald's yarn dyeing business, Stardust Fiber Studios. In 2020, they did a lot of promotional videos for their business on their Facebook account before starting their TicsandRoses account in 2021. But this is where things start to get a little bit suspicious. I mean, they claim to have Tourette's since they were 6 to 7 years old, and yet in all of these videos, they show zero signs of Tourette's or tics. There is a 1 minute and 53-second video in which there were no tics, and people found this a little bit confusing because on their TikTok page, they are ticking like every 1 to 10 seconds.
We are wrapping up with planting all of the little seedlings now. And he's finishing up with the broccoli right now, or cauliflower.
I wanted to talk a little bit about wow. I wanted to talk wow. I wanted to talk a little bit about wow. Never mind.
People started commenting on Emerald's TikTok account and being like, "Hey, what dis?" And Emerald actually had a reasonable response. They said they didn't tic all of the time, which, yeah, I mean, that is true for individuals with Tourette syndrome. You can experience fluctuation in the severity of your tics. Sometimes they might happen often, sometimes it might not even be noticeable or at all. It can be because of stress and emotional state. I mean, I have restless leg syndrome, which means that my legs will sometimes involuntarily jerk while I'm trying to fall asleep, or particularly at night. And if I'm more stressed, it might happen every night, but sometimes it can go like a half a year without happening. I know RLS is very, very different from Tourette's, but anyways, moving on. Also, if you are like paying attention to something, you might have less tics. Being tired or unwell might exasperate tics. There are so many different reasons. By this time, there was already a Reddit made about them, r/TicsandRoses, and they actually uncovered a 54-minute video with no tics. This isn't immediate evidence, okay, we figured it out, they're faking, thumbs up, subscribe, goodbye, because, it's like when you find cockroaches in your kitchen. You find one cockroach, there are bound to be more. People with Tourette syndrome actually began to comment on this. They said a lot of their tics are very related to what is going on. Like if you see a dog, you might have a tic related to a dog, which is possible.
Hickory dickory dock. The mouse ran up the clock and stole his cock. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a tiger, he's a hoe.
Usually tics are not context specific, but it does happen sometimes. I've had cases where I tic, what the dog doing when I see a dog? However, in every case that tics are triggered by something slightly related to the context, they are repeating. They will happen again and again. They are not going to be completely unique and fit the rhyme scheme of whatever you're reading. It just doesn't work like that.
Some individuals with Tourette's may experience echolalia, repeating words or phrases that they heard from others, or echopraxia, which is mimicking others' actions. If someone with Tourette's hears a specific word or phrase in conversation, they might involuntarily repeat it as a tic. This might make it seem like the tic is contextually relevant, but it is less common than other tics such as motor tics, shrugging your shoulders or blinking. People with Tourette's began talking about how it seemed like there was almost a comedic timing for their tics. Some described how it almost felt as though Emerald was poking fun at tics, which is kind of a red flag that people with Tourette's started to call them out, because it's like, not only do you have it, but you also have education experience with it. They said it kind of seems like a mockery and that they're laughing about how bizarre their tics are.
Send me to Canada! Eat the burrito. Nope. One for you. Pew, 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 pew. Mine, 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 mine.
Okay. This is not Tourette syndrome. This is not Tourette syndrome. I don't know what this is. This is like messed up. Even the most extreme cases of Tourette's will not present this way. I feel upset now. I feel visibly shaken. After watching these clips, there is no validity. This is complete bullying on their part to the actual Tourette syndrome community. It's so offensive. It is so rude.
Not only that, but people found their Pinterest account. They are pinning symptoms of Tourette's, types of tics. Which, okay, I see you, Emerald. You are trying to educate yourself on your own syndrome. People started to uncover their past personas. They claim to have practiced divination since they were 6 years old. They claim to be a certified life coach. However, these were later allegedly disproved, and this only makes you think, why would you lie about this? What else are you lying about? They claim to be a poet in 2020 just before they started their TikTok account, and yet when they were reading this poetry, they didn't tic once.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here, if not a little terrified, to be honest with you. I want to swallow all of you and replace my blood with yours. I am someone lost in the desert who sees you and doesn't give a shit about water anymore. You are the living embodiment of satisfaction itself.
I could be off here, but I feel like the average person might be a little bit nervous when giving a performance, but they didn't even tic once, but you know what? I digress. Basically, Redditors believed that they tailored their persona to fit into whatever niche they were doing at the time. It just gets a little bit more sus as we go down the line. They were posting on their yarn dyeing business and on their TikTok on the same day, and oh, look at that, they are only ticking on their TikTok. And once this discrepancy was noticed, they deleted the Stardust Fiber Studios videos off their Facebook, which is like, okay, maybe they were re-recording the ones for Facebook, or maybe on TikTok they were only filming, they would film over and over until they had a tic. I would argue that is exploiting them, but at the same time, it's like, you want to educate people, but then again, they are selling products directly related to Tourette syndrome, so in that case, are they taking advantage of it? In one video, they claimed that they do not have coprolalia, which is when you utter obscene or socially unacceptable phrases with your tics.
Some people do cuss with Tourette. I am a part of the group that does not.
A small percent of people with Tourette's have this, but then later on, they actually do have it.
The mouse ran up the clock and stole his.
Also, just my opinion, but it almost seems like they're trying to think of their tics before they're happening. When they recover from a tic, they have time to, put the headset back on their head or whatnot, and they're not as disturbed by it. Like, when they're cooking, they might, have a tic where they're going like this with the bowl and almost spill it, but they don't spill it. People with Tourette's generally, your tic is completely disconnected from you. You will tic and then you might continue on with your conversation. It can, confuse you, make you lose your train of thought, be distracting. They also seem to laugh a lot after their tics, which is like, okay, maybe because of the unexpected nature of your symptoms, but tics are not planned or thought out. It tends to happen spontaneously and is disconnected from your thoughts. But by this time, the haters were in full force, you guys. They were getting a lot of comments on their TikTok saying that they have Munchausen by internet, which is basically when you fake or exaggerate an illness specifically online. They made an effort to dispel this. What better way than to show your diagnostic paperwork?
So I know you've all probably seen the chaos happening on my channel, so I wanted to show a little bit of my last outpatient consultation. Make sure you guys can see that. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on with me.
But this attempt actually just ended up giving Redditors more evidence. So I intern at the major hospital near my house, and I found some things a bit off. They used acronyms ADHD instead of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, PTSD instead of post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD is listed twice. Paperwork goes through at least 2 doctors, so a mistake like that would be found and corrected by the time it got to the patient. Autism spectrum rather than putting autism spectrum disorder. You must be thorough and say the full name of disorders/diseases. OCD in and of itself is an anxiety disorder. So you wouldn't put OCD with anxiety disorder because it is one. If you had another anxiety disorder, you'd list it. There is no such thing as anxiety disorder. You know, you might have panic disorder, you might have generalized anxiety disorder, but not just anxiety. Same with depression. I mean, is it persistent depressive disorder? Is it major depressive disorder? In the history of present illness, they said that Emerald was a very pleasant 27-year-old left-handed lady. They might describe how the patient behaved or what made them pleasant, but you don't need to compliment the patient in your notes. Maybe they were compliant with treatment, but they wouldn't just,
They're very pleasant.
while other people came to their defense. I review medical records as part of my job. I have seen this language, very pleasant kid, in records if the doctor is older or from a different culture. I've also seen a lot of doctors use acronyms and outdated terms in records before. But still, others were pointing out things like, why is it important to know that they are left-handed? I mean, left-handedness can be linked to brain function and lateralization. Understanding the link between brain hemispheres and tics might be something of interest. Doctors do have a stigma that they can be careless with their writing, and it's like, why would Emerald be dense enough to make their own fake diagnosis paper and not even look over it and look up basic things like types of anxiety disorders? It sounds sloppy enough to the point where it might be real. Maybe they went into the doctor and faked tics and did get a genuine diagnosis. But diagnosing Tourette syndrome involves a thorough evaluation from a psychiatrist or neurologist. It includes detailed interviews, behavioral observations, and sometimes standardized assessments. So this long-term observation might make it difficult to convincingly fake the disorder. So okay, maybe they just wrote the whole thing themselves, whether it was in Microsoft Word, Google Docs, or just Photoshop. This was actually starting to seem more likely. I mean, people pointed out how they actually use a different, more updated logo now, but the logo they were using was one of the very first results when Googling the hospital they went to, Virginia Mason. Redditors pointed out how in almost all of their paperwork, there is a tiny TM at the top right corner, but the letter Emerald showed had no TM. But if you go on Google and look up the logo, look at that, there is no TM. Redditors also said, biggest red flag and possibly the smoking gun, visit date 4/21/21. This is a consultation form given after a first visit. Why are they only seeking treatment now? At that point, people started to jokingly make copies of Emerald's diagnosis paper. They immediately disabled comments and deleted the post a few days later, and I cannot imagine the feeling of being caught right-handed, lol, in this situation. This kind of reminds me of when I was a kid and my sister borrowed one of her friend's Barbie dolls and she just brought it back the next time she played with it and she didn't even tell her, so it's kind of like stealing and just bringing it back. And so I did the same thing, and as I was walking out the door, their mother noticed. Probably a similar feeling, although theirs included impact on genuine sufferers and stigma, whereas mine was just kind of testing boundaries at a developmental age. But at this point, I mean, there is still not strong enough evidence to completely say, all right, goodbye, fake. Actually, they took a step back. Maybe Redditors were wrong. They found an old video of Emerald claiming to have Huntington's disease.
My name is Emerald, and I have Huntington's disease.
Although they are distinct neurological disorders, they do have some similarities, as in involuntary jerking.
It affects all aspects of a person's life. It causes movement disorders, such as involuntary jerking, impaired gait and balance, and difficulty with speech and swallowing. Making the time I have meaning is what matters to me. So yes, I have Huntington's disease, but Huntington's disease doesn't have me. Thank you.
Redditors found an old fundraiser in 2014 from Emerald in which they stated that their entire family was affected by it. However, in order to be diagnosed with Tourette's, you have to have symptoms that are not related to Huntington's disease. It is possible for a person to have multiple psychiatric or neurological conditions at the same time. After all the feedback about their diagnosis papers, they actually deleted their account. I mean, is this the end of them? It was actually just the end of a chapter, and they would create a new account called Stardust Pagan Priori. On this new account, they would stop focusing so much on educating about Tourette's and rather focus on witchcraft. They said, I'm only gonna post videos on days that I don't have tics because I was bullied off of the internet.
Hey, I was not planning to address this anymore because addressing it has not fixed it. I have not gotten through my tics. I just don't record on days that I have my tics because I was literally bullied off the internet. So I do not do awareness for Tourette's anymore, regardless of the fact that I do have a clinical diagnosis. So I'm spending my time on my yarn business and on my religious group, and I just want to live my life, and yeah.
We still didn't have any solid evidence that they were faking, right? I mean, not yet, until their family actually commented on the Reddit. The Reddit was getting more and more followers, and on May 21st of 2021, their sister actually commented. Jade4101 said, introducing myself and the truth. Hi everyone, I recently found out about everything going on. I wanted to clear up some misconceptions and share my part. I am Emerald's sister, and we grew up together. Although we were raised non-denominational Christian, my mother, who is an amazing woman, and I have always been supportive of Emerald and miss them dearly. We have always accepted them. They cut communication with us. We tried to reach out, but they no longer wish to have contact with us, and we haven't talked in years. I'm just commenting in hopes of clearing up misinformation. Also, my grandpa does have Huntington's. It's late onset, which means it doesn't show up until later in life. My grandpa is currently suffering from the side effects and is not doing well. It's very sad. My mother has it too, but is not yet showing symptoms, thankfully, and I have not been tested. Lastly, I do not believe Emerald has Tourette syndrome, and they never showed any symptoms as a child. It's incredibly disrespectful to fake a mental illness for any reason. I'm extending my sincerest apology to everyone their actions have hurt. Although I know it's not my apology to give, I do wish for Emerald's safety. All I ask is respect and privacy for my parents and grandparents. And if you don't believe me, I'm happy to answer any questions you all may have as long as they are not disrespectful. The post got over 609 comments, and Jade actually responded to a lot of the comments. Do you know why Emerald might have fabricated all of this? Did they have a tendency to want attention regardless of it being good or bad? Jade said, honestly, I am unsure why Emerald would fabricate this. I was kinda in shock when I first heard about everything. But yes, they do have a history of fabricating stories or stretching the truth, so to speak. Emerald did get tested and was positive for Huntington's. I'm not sure why they changed it in the document, but I do know they got a professional diagnosis years ago. I hope you don't mind me asking a couple questions. What do you think of them profiting from faking Tourette syndrome? You know, with the shirts and other merch, as well as advertising through their TikTok channel, and profiting in general from Tourette's. I just find it weird how you say that they are mentally ill in some ways, but faking the Tourette's seems so calculated for profit. I mean, what do you think of their motives? And one more question if you don't mind. Emerald said they don't want to have children because of hereditary illnesses, but recently they played the victim by saying that people are threatening them and their children. Can you confirm once and for all, or do they not have children? Jade said, I think it's absolutely disgusting to fake a mental illness for profit and clout. I think what Emerald is doing is unethical and disrespectful, which is why I decided to speak out. I don't know what their motives are, could be anything, attention, money, I'm not sure. I do know that they have struggled with mental health issues, but not Tourette's. Emerald has no biological children, but I believe their partner has children, so that's probably who they are referring to. Their sister sister also allegedly dispelled claims that Emerald had, such as, being a life coach or practicing divination since they were 6 years old. Emerald made an old post saying, "Hello, my name is Emerald. I am a diviner from the Pacific Northwest. I have been practicing multiple divination techniques since I was 6 years old, originally taught by my grandmother and uncle. I have nearly 20 years of experience that I would love to share with you. I will not sugarcoat your message, but give you the truth of what the cards are saying. I am also a fully trained life coach." Their sister Jade replied and said, "My opinion is that, to my knowledge, neither our grandma or uncle taught them divination techniques." Emerald did take an interest in it later in life though, but definitely does not have 20 years of experience. Someone also questioned Emerald's claims of being a fully trained life coach, and their sister responded, "I have no idea what they are referring to. Back when we were in communication, Emerald never mentioned anything about life coach training. That was a while ago, so maybe it's something they have pursued since. I doubt it though." Someone asked if Emerald genuinely has autism spectrum disorder, and Jade replied, "I do not believe Emerald is on the spectrum, although any recent diagnosis I would not know about. I can confirm that they do have PTSD. That part is true. They don't have seizures, but they would often faint a lot when they were younger if their heart rate got too high. Although I suppose it's possible that was an act as well. I'm not sure though." Someone also asked if Emerald's partner might have been the one encouraging this faking behavior, and Jade replied, "I've thought about this a lot. I've actually met Emerald's partner back when we were still talking. I think it's entirely possible they could have played a role in it. I believe that their partner is being complacent in Emerald's fabrications and even supporting their behavior." Michelle note, "I don't know, but this could actually make sense because a lot of the recordings they did, they had someone else recording them, and it almost looked as though they were looking at the person recording them like, oh, did I do a good job faking? I mean, who knows, maybe they were allegedly faking all of these tics in front of their partner 24/7, but I mean, I don't know about that one." After all this, Emerald actually responded to the post themselves. "My diagnoses that I have gotten in adulthood, you cannot speak on as we have no contact. And do not blame my partners. You said that this has been hard for you, and that was never my intent. I started awareness because I never wanted anyone to be as ashamed as I was. This visceral hatred has been hard for me. It caused my children's school to be called because someone said lies, and they tried to take my children. They are afraid to go to school now. It caused my car to be trashed. It caused me to be spit on in public because I wanted to help people. The money I received, I donated. I volunteered with the Tourette Association of America. I did public outreach. I was interviewed for a person's thesis. I was interviewed for a podcast but asked them not to air it out of concern for them. The messages I got from people saying that their child wasn't afraid to go to school anymore because of me changed my life. Or a woman saying her husband finally saw a neurologist and getting help. I met friends who had the same experiences as me, who made me feel seen. Now I've closed down everything Tourette's related. I've given up. You all win. I'm back where I started, living in shame of being different. Please just leave me alone now." A day later, the TicsandRoses TikTok account was deleted permanently. They did address this on their business page, but it was a little convenient that there were no tics. Okay, maybe Emerald does have Tourette's and their sister just came up with this and fabricated this because they want to have a more distant relationship with their sibling. In their post, I feel like they said so many things that weren't really necessary. It was really just taking the victim card and a lot of the victim cards in general. In my opinion, their post really lacked accountability. Saying things like, "You cannot speak on my diagnosis," makes it look like they are trying to shut down valid concerns that others have. They're portraying themselves as a victim of circumstance. They kept talking about how they have suffered, how they were wronged, without acknowledging any potential faults or reason for the backlash. They also make claims about the positive impact they've had, like making a thesis or a child wasn't afraid to go to school anymore because of them. Which is great, but it feels a little like manipulation to gain emotional appeal and sympathy. It's kind of like they're trying to distract people from the real issue here. I don't know if there could be any legal trouble to them admitting that they literally don't have it. I mean, wouldn't there be anyway? But I do wonder if it would have been a little better if they would have said, "You know what, I did fake this. I might have had reasons. I'm so sorry for all the stigma that I've caused, that so many people with Tourette's are now being fake claimed because of my content." The only issue is Emerald claimed to have symptoms since they were 6 or 7 years old, yet, their sister had never seen symptoms? It doesn't even end there. Their mother actually came forward and posted on the Reddit. You know it's bad when mom is coming to post. I am Emerald's mother. I'm sure many of you won't believe me or will demand proof, but the truth remains that they are my daughter. The thing that stood out to me about this post is how you are happy you pressured to get their family to come forward and clarify. You have no idea how difficult it was for Emerald's sister to speak up. Understand that when you see someone on the internet, you see a piece, a fragment of their life. A broken relationship that we desperately want back is now further from our grasp. Emerald could do nothing in my eyes that would make me love them less, but my heart hurts for them. My heart hurts for the very obvious mental illness that I can't seem to help them through. You may be counting it as a win for you guys who are complete strangers, but could be causing pain to others by dragging the family into it. Understand that a person who does fake an illness obviously has a mental illness. They are a human being, and while that doesn't excuse their behavior, they are still sick, just with something different. Granted, other Reddit pages are worse, but this page too has bordered on a hate page. I asked myself why I would want to say anything to these hateful people who don't even know us. Had you just kept yourselves respectable as truly concerned citizens, maybe I would have said something, but felt I didn't owe anything to people with pitchforks and torches on a witch hunt after someone who, regardless of it all, is still my child. I saw Reddit pages specific to calling Emerald out on the Huntington's disease diagnosis. And again, I was horrified with the comments I read, knowing that it is a true diagnosis, one that will kill me and eventually kill Emerald. Understand this, we have had no contact with Emerald for almost 5 years, and this breaks my heart every single day. Emerald's sister and I have no idea of any new medical conditions that they have been diagnosed with in the past 5 years. We can only speak to the Emerald we knew before that. If you suspect someone faking a disorder in the future, I think it could be handled with much more tact and a lot less hate. I do agree with the majority of what Emerald's mom was saying, but at the same time, at what point is mental illness an excuse? I do have a lot of empathy for Emerald's family because, like, yes, it was good that they came out and said these things, but also I can imagine that it made their relationship with Emerald a lot harder. At the end of the day, I mean, Emerald's sibling nor their mother could really come up with a reason why Emerald would do this. My personal analysis, I think that people fake disorder for a plethora of reasons. I think the validation and the attention that they were getting can definitely set off a lot of happy hormones. I was watching a YouTube video, I can't remember exactly who it was, but they were saying like, it's awful being a content creator because a lot of the time your YouTube is like feeding you these things and you're like, okay, how do I replicate this one video that did really well? How can I be better? You know what I mean? It's always pushing. Hormones such as dopamine or oxytocin can be released temporarily and you feel euphoric. You can have some of the same hormones that you feel when you were on or in love, and in this way, it can be very addictive. Internet fame often comes with a lot of positive reinforcement, like, you know, likes, comments, shares. This immediate feedback can become highly addictive and rewarding. The validation from a large audience can boost self-esteem and create a strong desire to keep that attention coming. You have a community and a belonging, but also there are monetary rewards. You know, in Emerald's case, maybe they made money off of monetization. I don't know if they were monetized, but they also had this yarn dyeing business. In these cases, we can see, like with Two Souls, One Bod, you know, they were making money before on the internet off of their giantess website. They claim to be hacked, but allegedly just, you know, ran off with the money. It can also offer an escape from real life insecurities or responsibilities. Will we ever be able to see the real reason why Emerald faked it? I don't think so. Some people might not even know why themselves. I would love to know you all's thoughts in the comments. It is definitely a sad situation when someone is literally outed by their family. Anyways, thank you so much for watching today's video. As always, make sure to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, turn the bell on if you're feeling risky, and comment below. Thank you so much. It helps with the algorithm. Also, thank you so much to each and every one of my members for supporting my efforts on this channel. It seriously does mean the world to me. But to everyone, I hope you have a good day, night, whatever the case may be, and peace out.